This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Donald Trump also talked a big game on our trade deficit with China. But it is far lower under our watch than any year of his administration. While he constantly got played by China, I will never hesitate to take swift and strong measures when China undermines the rules of the road at the expense of our workers, our communities, and our companies, whether it's flooding the market with steel, inferior, or at all, unfairly subsidizing shipbuilding, or hurting our small businesses with counterfeits. Recall, Donald Trump actually shipped advanced semiconductor chips to China, which helps them upgrade their military. Understand the impact of these so-called policies that really are not about a plan for strengthening our prosperity or our security. I will never sell out America to our competitors or adversaries. Never. Never.
I mean, it's just, when you just say it out loud like that, from somebody who, has a bird's nest view of what went on. And they know, and we know, that this is the situation Donald Trump put us in. We had a manufacturing recession before COVID. He mismanaged COVID. Then our supply chains just, exploded. He got played by China. The farmers know, because they're export markets that they had spent years creating so that they could export their wheat, their corn, but mostly their soybean crops to China had disappeared. I mean, the exports of the Midwestern farmer in soybeans to China decreased under Donald Trump by 74%. And to placate them, which they weren't interested in. But what he did to, make them shut up about it was he cut huge checks to farmers who didn't want the money. They wanted the business. They wanted their contacts. They wanted their markets that they had built over many years of a lot of hard work. So, I mean, he's just a failure. He's failed in every single sector that he has ever tried his hand in, whether it was Trump Airlines or vodka or universities or steaks or even Trump the game. I mean, anything that he's ever done, he has failed miserably at. Everything that he has ever, invested in personally, he has declared bankruptcy 6 times. 6 times. I remember when Donald Trump was first running and Marco Rubio was, they were in the primary phase of this whole thing. And Marco Rubio was on the stage and he was saying to, if Donald Trump didn't inherit, $200 to $400 million from his father, he'd be selling watches on the street in New York City. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, everybody knew what a front-running phony he was. Everyone knew he was a fraud. Everyone knew what he said made no sense. And still, they went along with it. They went along with it because they could see that is where the Republican voter wanted to go. That is where the Republican voter was responding. They were responding to his racism. They were responding to his bullcrap. They were and none of the things he ever said he was going to do. He was going to close the trade deficit with China. It got bigger. He was going to increase manufacturing in the United States. We lost manufacturing. Lordstown closed. Carrier offshored. You can actually see what the petitions you had to petition the government if you were an American company and wanted to offshore your factories, right? And you can see the numbers of petitions that were granted and the number of waivers from these tariffs that were granted under Donald Trump was astronomical. Okay, I mean it was the Lordstown, the Chevy Cruise plant. Where did it go? It went to freaking Mexico. The Carrier plant, it closed. Where did it go? It went to Mexico. I mean, he's such a liar. He's such a ill-equipped, ill-informed person, and he's still selling the same crap. She, on the other hand, is being held to a way higher standard. I wonder why that would be. Can't think of anything, can you? Why would Kamala Harris be held to a higher standard with regard to her economic plans, prowess, whatever you want to call it? Why is it that she has been, asked for and had to deliver and did deliver a fact sheet on her plans, a summary of how it would work, and also a policy book, a complete policy book of how her economic policies affect various communities, like business, small business, individuals, families, home buyers. Do you know, like, she spells it all out in this policy book. Now, where's his fact sheet or policy? Why don't we demand that from him? So she's being held to a higher standard because I don't know. You're going to have to figure that one out for yourself. You're going to have to. Because here's how he attacked her, okay?
Remember one other thing, and I think it's terrible. She lied about McDonald's. She said I was a worker in McDonald's. And I stood over the French fries. I'm going to a McDonald's over the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to stand over the French fries because I want to see what her job really wasn't like, because she never... I stood over the French fries, and that was tough. It was hot outside, and it was hot over. She never worked there. It was a lie.
Your opponent almost every day seems to be talking about this. So I just want to ask you yes or no. At any point in your life, have you served 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, on a sesame seed bun, working at a McDonald's? Yes or no? That's it.
I have.
Okay.
All
now
right.
the other job. Now the other job.
But it was not a small job. Like, I did the fries. I mean, yes,
okay, for a
but
small
I did.
period of time. But then let me ask about a big job.
But to your point, if you don't mind, before you get to the big job, there's a part of the reason I even talk about having worked at McDonald's is because there are people who work at McDonald's in our country who are trying to raise a family. I worked there as a student. I was a kid who worked there trying to raise families and pay rent on that. And I think part of the difference between me and my opponent includes our perspective on the needs of the American people and what our responsibility then is to meet those needs.
I mean, that is the only reason why she talks about having ever worked at McDonald's as a student while she was going through college, okay? And he calls her a liar. This is his big, this is his big plan, is to just call people liars, to say other people are frauds. He called Zelensky. I mean, he's literally, telling you, Donald Trump is, that he will give Ukraine to Vladimir Putin. That is what he will do. And he called Zelensky the world's greatest salesman. This is a man whose country was invaded by Vladimir Putin, the oligarch, the autocrat, the psycho, okay? The former KGB agent. He was a colonel. This is the man Donald Trump sticks up for and says Zelensky is the problem. Zelensky is just a salesman. That's all he is.
Look at the war in Ukraine, and I think it's something we have to have a quick discussion about, because the president of Ukraine is in our country, and he's making little nasty aspersions toward your favorite president, me. But take a look at the war happening right now in Ukraine. It would have never happened if I were president, to start off with.
Why?
And there didn't even have to be a settlement. It wouldn't have happened, period. Russia wouldn't have gone in. I spoke to Putin about it a lot. But through a lot of bad statements and stupid statements, he went in. And he's no angel. It's all such a horror. Biden and Harris caused this situation by the stupidity of what they said, by every move they make. But they caused the situation, and now they're locked in. They're locked in. A deal could have been made. There wouldn't have been one person that died, and there wouldn't have been one golden tower laying shattered on its side. A deal could have been made if we had a competent president instead of a president that egged it all on. And Biden and Kamala allowed this to happen by feeding Zelensky money and munitions like no country has ever seen before. Every time he came to our country, he'd walk away with $60 billion. He's probably the greatest salesman on earth.
Why wouldn't it have happened, Donald? Because you would have given Ukraine to Putin? Broke NATO? Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.